Mr. Norman, and a member opposed. Each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My amendment cuts the salary of the Secretary of the Department of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, to $1. The job that she has done is far below standard by any measure. She testified and promoted a company in Greenville, my state, not in my district, but my state, that she was a former board member on, and requested funds from the American taxpayer. And I've learned now with bureaucrats who make wrong decisions, the only way you deal with them is cut their salary. And I would recommend that her salary be cut to $1. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does gentlewoman from Ohio rise?
Yes, Madam Chair, I rise in opposition.
You're recognized.
Thank you. This amendment raises serious constitutional issues and may amount to an unconstitutional bill of attainder. This is not the way to handle policy disputes with the Secretary of Energy for our country. This amendment prioritizes legislative theater over the American people and doesn't have a chance of becoming law. I strongly urge my colleagues to vote against this harmful amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield the balance of my time for my good friend from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. This is not political theater, far from it. This is accountability to the American people. I rise today in support of this amendment to reduce the salary of Secretary Granholm to $1 because I cannot make her pay us back. The job of the Secretary of Energy is to secure American energy independence, but she is not securing American energy independence. She is depleting it. And she should be held accountable to the people for failing to deliver on her job. You see, Madam Speaker, before Ms. Granholm was Energy Secretary, she promoted the same failed policies while serving as governor of Michigan and presided over what is now known as Michigan's lost decade, a legacy that we are still paying for at home. She presided over the mass exodus of our jobs and our children from our state. She presided over the crippling of our economy, foreclosures of so many of our homes, and closing of our businesses. She embarrassed us with Rasco fiasco when she offered $9 million in tax credits to promote a job program that actually went to a convicted embezzler who lived out of a trailer. And you know what she did when she was done gutting and embarrassing our state, Madam Speaker? She left. She got on a plane and headed for California, where she took a faculty position in Berkeley while leaving struggling Michiganders at home, struggling in the snow. Now, Madam Speaker, while this amendment today is not about her time in Michigan, past behavior is the best indicator of future performance. So we should be appalled but not surprised by the same malpractice, malfeasance, and mistreatment of the office that she assumes currently, and has inflicted serious pain on the American people and jeopardizes our American independence moving forward. Since this administration took office, Madam Speaker, we've gone from this energy independence to energy reliance on dictators and despots around the world. Secretary Granholm sold off our strategic petroleum reserves and sold out Americans and our national security. And all the worse, she went on television and laughed in our faces just before gas prices hit their peak. The American people's pain is their plan, Madam Speaker, making gas unaffordable and trading away our national resources to China, our #1 adversary, all so they can implement their pipe dream of a forced EV transition. Now, I won't call it treason, but many in my district have. The policy she is seeking to impose billions of dollars in penalties for our autos through our EV mandates would crater the #1 industry in Michigan. We do not fear the future, but we demand to be a part of it. Madam Speaker, the consequences of her failures is the reason folks in my district are standing on a picket line right now. The unrealistic, untimely, and unjust forced EV mandates she supports is building the Chinese middle class on the backs of the middle class families in Michigan and around America. It's time for her to pay, and Congress is holding her accountable. This is the essence of what the Article 1 branch of government should be doing, is holding an out-of-control administration accountable to the people. She failed in Michigan, and we will not let her fail America. This is a warning to the American people that policies that hurt them will stop with the 118th Congress. These policies have not worked anywhere they've been tried. They have failed, and in the real world, failure means your employer takes your pay. This town needs to start operating a little bit more like the real world. That's why I support this resolution, and I encourage all of my colleagues to support it as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from Michigan yields back, and the gentleman from South Carolina yields back. Gentlewoman from Ohio?
Yes,
For what
Madam
purpose do
Chair.
you rise?
Yes, I just wanted to say in reaction to what I just heard on the floor here, there must be two Jennifer Granholms because the one I know is simply exceptional. Mr. Chair, I yield to the gentleman from Tennessee and Chair of the Energy and Water Subcommittee, Mr. Fleischman.
Gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
Madam Chair, thank you, and I thank my ranking member for yielding to me, and I did hear both of my colleagues, but respectfully, I disagree with this amendment. I do not think that attempting to reduce salaries to $1 is likely to address this problem, and it may very well cause more problems than it attempts to create. So I will respectfully oppose the amendment and urge my colleagues to oppose the same and yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentlewoman from Ohio is recognized.
I yield back my time
The
remaining.
gentlewoman from Ohio yields. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from South Carolina. Those in favor say aye.